Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 11 Pro Max and see how this iPhone has been holding up in the later part of 2024. Now there's been a couple of things that have happened within this iPhone since it first came out, so we'll take a look at all those things throughout this whole entire video. If you do want to pick up this phone still, links are down in the description. You can get them from there for the cheapest prices and help support this channel at the exact same time. Now the exterior of this phone still holds up fairly well. It's not a bad looking device, it's not a bad performing device, and I do think in a lot of ways it still is holding up. It's doing well. It's a 2019 device, 5 years old at this point. You're getting a 6.5 inch Super Retina XDR OLED display on this thing, or a Super Retina OLED display, and it's a pretty good panel. It's not really that bad, and I do think that's a pretty nice, interesting thing going on for this device. You're getting a notch up top, lightning port at the bottom. You're getting your reflective curved sides, and overall it still is like a pretty good looking device. I do think if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, this thing doesn't look that bad, and I think that's a really nice thing going on for this phone. The only thing is that when compared to the latest competition, when you compare this thing against like a 16 Pro, a 16 Pro Max, this thing just doesn't really perform that well as you probably would have expected. Right? Like this type of device is a little bit outdated. It doesn't look that great, but it doesn't look that bad either. But definitely with the latest generation, you're getting a better display, you're getting high refresh rates, and that's kind of the big thing you're missing out on within this particular device. Now, on top of that, I think another big thing to keep in mind here too, is that with this type of device, you're basically getting another set of, like the camera is good. It's a 4K at 60 camera on the front and the back, and I do think that's actually a very nice thing going on for this phone as well. Having a phone like this that's going to perform at these types of levels for a while is still very nice, but once again, compared to the latest competition, this phone just doesn't necessarily have the best type of camera of all time. You're getting higher frame rates you can film in nowadays. You're getting higher quality cameras. The graininess of the 11 Pro Max is the big thing you're going to notice, but all that's kind of mostly hardware. When it comes down to the software side, especially with iOS 18, it's been running iOS 18 like a champ. I think iOS 18 has been a pretty good version of software even for these older iPhones. Like these things didn't really get Apple Intelligence or anything, but they're still giving us a pretty good experience. The only thing I can kind of remember and kind of think about here is that with a device like the iPhone 11 Pro Max, it's holding pretty well on iOS 18. Right? It's not bad, but when it compares to, I guess, how it was on iOS 17, it was a little bit more stable, a little bit more faster, but that's kind of the consensus I've been able to see across all my different phones for the most part. So even that's like not the biggest deal in the world, but that was just one other thing that I did kind of notice at that time as well. So again, not the biggest deal in the world, but probably one thing you'll notice when it comes down to the performance side. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to how it performs against the iPhone 16s as a whole, I think definitely the 16s are better, that's no secret, but I would say it's surprising because when I'm feeling my iPhone 16 Pro Max, when I'm comparing it against the 11 Pro Max, I'm actually surprised how good and how a premium my 11 Pro Max still feels like. The 16 Pro Max is heavier, has more features, the camera button, all that stuff, but the 11 Pro Max still feels fairly good. Like it still is up there. It doesn't feel like $1,000 phone anymore, but it still feels like a $500 phone still easily, which is crazy because this phone is probably sold for like $300 now. So all in all, I think the iPhone 11 Pro Max is one of those devices that I'm still a massive fan of. I think it's a very good phone. I don't really think it's a perfect phone anymore, but if you are in the market, if you are going to go pick up a device, I think this is a decent option for the most part if you want a super old phone. Otherwise, I would probably recommend going for something like an iPhone 13 Pro Max when it kind of comes down to it. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.